12 years ago, I experienced something that changed me. It changed how I see my purpose in life. I was working for Nike. I was running Nike's office here in Israel, and I had a crazy idea. I wanted to arrange a soccer tournament between the Israeli national soccer team, and get this, the Libyan national soccer team. Crazy. Two enemy states. But if you recall, these were times when Gaddafi was making nice to the West. He apologized for Libya's role in the Lockerbie bombing. He condemned terrorism, dismantled his program of mass destruction. So it felt like there was a window of opportunity to bridge these two nations. Now, I knew I could get to Gaddafi because Gaddafi was a part owner of a Nike-sponsored soccer team in Italy. That's right. He owned 7% of Juventus, and his son was on the board. Felt like a great opportunity, and I thought he would love the idea. One game in Tripoli and one game in Jerusalem. So Nike has always been about inspiration and diversity, and I thought it would fit right in. Just do it. I was excited. I was psyched. So I started making calls. Must have been on my third call with Nike headquarters. There were at least 10 people on the phone from government affairs and public relations and sports marketing. And then someone said something to me that so unplugged me that it still rings in my ears to this day. It changed how I see my purpose in life. She said, "Daniel, we are not the United Nations. We are not the United Nations." So my peace plan was dead. I was so disappointed. I was sad that such a unique opportunity, and not a difficult one, was lost. But at that moment, I realized that I do want to bridge people. I want to bring people together. On that day, back in 2006, I decided that I do want to be the United Nations. Now, I didn't know what to do with it at the time, but I did know I don't want to wake up in the morning to sell more shoes. And then a few months later, when I got the call to run SodaStream, I decided to give it a go. And little did I know what would bubble up over there. When I got to SodaStream in early 2007, its first factory, its main factory, was in Mishor Adumim, in the West Bank, in the disputed West Bank. All of the 600 workers there were Jewish Israelis, mostly from the Jerusalem area. Pretty quickly, the business started turning, and we needed more hands. Now, it was tough to find Israelis who wanted to work there, so we reached out to Palestinians living in the neighboring villages and towns. Within a few months, we had 150 Palestinians working side by side with 600 Israelis. Now, these were times of terror attacks, so people were kind of skeptical, even afraid. On the first day that the Palestinians had arrived, 3 of the Israelis resigned in protest, but 597 stayed. I had everyone walk through a metal detector. Managers, line workers, Jews, Arabs, Palestinians, Israelis, all treated the same. But once inside the factory, we kept both groups separate. Initially, the Palestinians worked in a different building, in the assembly hall. They had separate times for meals, and they had their own transportation. So initially, it really was a segregated workplace. But over time, things started to change. I remember in late 2008, the candlelighting celebration for the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. 500 of the Jewish employees are congregated at the main parking lot to light the candles, say the blessings, and sing the songs for the holiday of Hanukkah. And then I feel a gentle elbow jab right here on my right rib cage by my head of operations, Yossi, who whispers to me, "Look back." And then I saw them, 50 or 60 of the Palestinians standing in the periphery, respectfully observing, almost participating, but not quite, in the Jewish Festival of Lights. Then comes Ramadan. We arranged a festive dinner and a DJ to mark the end of Ramadan and the beginning of Eid al-Fitr, probably the most significant holiday in the Muslim calendar. I walk into the hall where they're celebrating. I was with a few of the Jewish managers, and I remember the look of surprise and delight on the faces of the Palestinians. Within seconds, I was on their shoulders and we're dancing like crazy. The energy of joy and delight, not only because it was the end of Ramadan, but because we were celebrating it together in brotherhood. A few years go by and we're now 600 Palestinians working side by side with 600 Israelis. Outside the factory, hate and fear are raging. But inside, it started to feel like an island of peace. The Palestinians had integrated into all departments of the factory, and some became managers. We no longer had separate times for meals, Jews, Muslims, breaking bread together. Each group prayed in its own prayer room, but we always celebrated holidays together. I remember before one of the annual field trips that we do, I asked one of our Palestinians, where would you like to go? Fadi Kayed answered, I'll never forget this. He said, we, the Palestinians, would love to get to the beach. And that's when I realized most of the Palestinians living in the West Bank have never been to the beach. So we decided to bring them and their families to experience the beach for the first time. It was wild. I remember Yusuf Psharat, 20 years old from Jabal Ramallah, a wonderful kid with a smile, walks into the water with his hand stretched out and he says, I don't believe, and then suddenly he jumps in and he's starting to swim. I'm observing him from a few steps away. He's not coming up for air. So I run to him, he's fully dressed. I grab him from the back of his blue tank top, lift him up. Yusuf is coughing out water, spitting, foaming, his face is red, he's nearly drowning, but smiling. The next day, I get a notification on Facebook. Yusuf added a hobby to his profile, swimming. A few months ago, we took our employees again to the beach, and this time I made sure that my children would be there. My oldest son, Nitai, is an officer in the Israeli Special Forces. He's 22 years old, and he took time off from his duties in the West Bank to join the Palestinians at the beach. He played beach volleyball with them. So a few hours earlier, they're enemies, and now they're playing together. Crazy. Over time, people started connecting. They started feeling like they're part of a greater cause. People come to work feeling like they're making peace. And greater cause means happy people, more fulfilled people, happy employees, and happy employees is great for business. When Ramon Laguarta, the CEO of PepsiCo, visited us for the first time before he decided to buy us about 6 months ago, when we were leaving the campus, I asked him, so Ramon, what do you think? And he says, Daniel, this is a happy place. People are smiling. I don't think I ever saw a factory like this. I got to tell you a story. About almost 3 years ago, we wanted to spread the love to folks who don't have the opportunity to experience what we experience every day. And we created a friendship jam. We invited 2,000 high school kids, 1,000 Muslim and 1,000 Jewish, to celebrate coexistence, friendship, to mingle on our factory campus. It was a wonderful day. One of the kids who came was my second son, Nitzan, who's a jazz drummer. He brought his entire class from Tel Mayalin, from Tel Aviv, to participate in this wonderful festival. But what made this day last in my mind forever is what happened next. I stepped away from the festivities to say hello to the folks who were at the factory floor because they couldn't come, they were staffing the shifts. And I'm walking the floor and up comes to me Khalil, 38 years old, with a shy smile, and he says, Daniel, I heard your father is here. I want to meet him. Now that's true. My dad came to the factory to hear his grandson play and to experience this very unique festival. I take Khalil by the hand, I said, Yalla bo, and we crossed the whole factory campus, 500-600 meters, until we reached the factory area, the area of the festival. And I'm looking for my father. I find him sitting right in front of the stage, on a single white chair, surrounded by hundreds, thousands of these kids mingling and minding their own business. And I come up to my dad and I say, "Dad, this is Khalil Kanaan, a Palestinian from the village of Chizmeh." Khalil grabs my father's hand, reaches over and says, "Mr. Birnbaum, we say that we know a man by his son. You are a good man." My father, who completely didn't expect this, smiles a big smile and grabs Khalil's other hand and pulls himself up slowly to a standing position and then gives Khalil a big bear hug, maybe one like I never got. Now, my father never met a Palestinian before. He never spoke to a Palestinian before, and he certainly never hugged one before. But on that day, my father, a rabbi, a right-wing Israeli, a Holocaust survivor, on that day, my father made peace with Khalil Kanaan, a Palestinian. Dad, you taught me a thing or two about compassion, about forgiveness, and about hope, and I thank you for that. And by the way, your old friend Khalil is here, so you can hug him again later if you want. You see, the time for a hug is always. So, just when things looked like they couldn't get any better at SodaStream, the island of peace was thriving, business was booming, we went public on NASDAQ in 2010. We couldn't meet demand. We needed a new factory. And that's when things turned bad, fast. We wanted the new factory to be located in a place that would make most sense for business, but would also enable us to retain our workers. So we chose its location about 1 hour away, next to the Bedouin town of Rahat. But this meant new work permits and travel permits for our Palestinian employees. And until we would secure these permits, they couldn't travel to Israel to get to their jobs in the new factory. We were able to secure temporary permits for a few months of transition, but then we had to say goodbye. We were devastated. On the day they left, it felt like peace was lost. It felt like the family was torn. It reminded me of, Daniel, we are not the United Nations. Do I walk away and move on? Or do I stay the course and battle it out? It took 15 months. And when they were gone, we wanted the families of our Palestinians to have hope and to know that we're not giving up. So we stayed in touch. At one point, we arranged a visit at Ali Jafar's home in the Palestinian town of Sawakha. 30 of the Israelis joined me, and we went to visit them. I remember walking into Ali's home, saying hello to our friends whom I haven't seen for several months, and then I saw her. I saw Ali's wife, Rana, lovely, 37 years old, sitting on their living room sofa with a very sad face. And through an interpreter, I heard her story, that the previous night, her oldest daughter, Haya, 17 years old, was crying, sobbing in bed at night. She was crying because she felt her dream was slipping away, her dream to become an eye doctor. Her father was no longer working. How could the family put her through school? Rana pleaded with me, pleaded that I do whatever I can to find work for her husband, Ali. Any work, anywhere. When I came home a few days later and I shared that story on our Shabbat table, my mom bangs on the table, the glassware wants to fly everywhere, and she says, "That girl will be an eye doctor if she wants." Now, if you know my mom, you know how deliberate that was. And indeed, within one day, Mom pulled together her friends and created a scholarship fund so that Haya can fulfill her dream if she wants to. So after 15 long months, we were able to finally secure the work permits for our Palestinian employees, and they could come back to work. Their homecoming was one of the happiest days of my life. It wasn't only because of the jobs secured or the friendships reunited, it was because of the proof of concept that peace can prevail. Ask any one of the 2,200 employees in this factory, and they will tell you that at SodaStream, we make peace happen every day, and along the way, we make soda. We are so proud of this that we put a sticker on every one of the 70 million products that we produce in the last year, and it says that this product was produced by Jews and Arabs working side by side in peace and harmony. So at SodaStream, we discovered what peace looks like, kind of like penicillin was discovered back in 1928. By mistake. We did not plan this, but it turns out it's not that complicated. Equal pay, equal benefits, equal opportunity, and lots of respect. You know, equality and respect breeds trust, and trust breeds friendships. It's that simple. One of our Palestinian employees summed it up in the simplest way. A few months ago, Shadi Abu Khilwe, said to me, Daniel, we have been fighting for so many years, year after year after year. Why don't we try 1 year, try peace? If it works, great. If it doesn't, we can always continue fighting, no problem. But isn't Shadi right? Think about it. And we want this badly, don't we? Here in Israel, a Jewish person greets another person with the word shalom. An Arab greets another person with the word salam. Peace, peace. In our Jewish religion, we pray for peace. You know how many times a day? I counted. 15 times a day, including twice during grace. 15 times we pray for peace. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu. God who makes peace in the heavens should make peace on earth. Is anyone praying for war 15 times a day? So why is the world so quick to war and so slow to peace? Here in Israel, we have been praying and waiting for peace for 70 years. 70 years of accomplishments, of achievements, technology, innovation, and glory. It's a miracle, the state of Israel. But 70 years of war, of bloodshed, of sorrow, of pain and terror. We have been waiting for our politicians to deliver. When did we ever decide that politicians have exclusive domain over peace? Maybe it's time for us, the people, to take more responsibility over peace. At SodaStream, I discovered that anyone and everyone can make peace. My employees made peace. My father made peace. My mom and my kids made peace. Shadi, Khalil, Ali, Debbie, and Chava made peace. I made peace. You can make peace. Engage. Dare to engage. No matter where you live or work, you have opportunities to engage with people from other cultures. It could be at school, at your workplace, even at the grocery store or at the gym. Reach out. It starts with the little day-to-day things like greeting someone in their language. Salam, shalom, shana tova, Ramadan kareem. Inquire something about her culture. Grab a cup of coffee. Have lunch. Ask about his family. Maybe invite them over to meet yours. You will discover that we are not all that different. that we share many of the same joys in life, that we want health and happiness for our children, that we want to live in peace. And if you're a leader, whether in your community or in business, it is our opportunity and obligation to create the environment that encourages people to engage. It's not about diversity targets. It's about inclusion. It's not about coexistence. It's about harmony. It's not about accepting differences. It's about celebrating them. 12 years ago, I had my wake-up call, and I decided I'm not waiting any longer. I decided that I am the United Nations. I decided, and I've learned from my experience, that everyone and anyone, all of you, can be the United Nations. Everyone can make peace. Each of you can build bridges. We can make peace, each one a little bit of peace, but together we can make a big peace. Let's not wait any longer. Thank you. Thank you.